Welcome to How to Be a Humane Leader Without Losing Your Job. We're here to chat about humane leadership in ways that's real and relatable, tackling work-life challenges and offering practical advice to navigate tough decisions. Whether you're leading a team or navigating your own career, we've got you covered. I'm Chris Hollerking, a Fortune 100 IT leader, and with me is Roberto Torres, a startup engineering leader. We'll dive into the real world stuff, share experiences, and offer guidance on leading with compassion while keeping your career on track. Today, we're going to discuss how a humane leader encourages the team to take a break, a holiday, or vacation to recharge their energy and boost creativity, which we both did. We both kind of took a little break here from our podcast due to personal things going on and work things going on. I feel my energy is boosted and my creativity is boosted. How about you?
Totally agree. I have the same sensation, and it has worked because rather than going into routine that we enjoy, this has brought new ideas, new emotions, sensations, and everything to rock on here. Yes, sir.
Absolutely. And I think sometimes, depending on the culture of the company and the team and how new it is, I know in various stages of my career, I was reluctant to take a vacation. Like my boss made me. One of my best bosses ever actually made me go on my first, once I graduated college, made me go on my first real vacation on my own. I went with a scuba club to go scuba diving. I was debating doing it. Oh, I got so much to do at work. And he's like, no, you're going, book it. And it was a great vacation. And I came back so energized because I just loved my job. I loved doing what I was doing. And that change of pace, that doing something different that had nothing to do with my job, allowed my brain, that other part of your brain to kick in. And I really came back with some creative ideas and things to try at work that I could talk to them about. And I said, while I was on vacation, I thought, and I hate to be one of those people that's always thinking about work on vacation, but I did and do. But I was so much more energized than if I had stayed there and kept working and put in another 40 to 60 hours that week, right? The week I took 1 week off to go scuba diving. And but I came back so much more energized and really maybe even thought through some of the things that would have taken longer to implement the ideas because I was on vacation and there was no pressure on me. I could think more creatively, think outside the box. What a cliche that is. But I really did. And I think that those holidays are misunderstood. The inhumane leader wants all his people working, producing because they're just focused on that short term. But if you really want long-term productivity, if you really want sustainable creativity, you've got to take your breaks, and taking a holiday and going off to something that is totally different than what you normally do day to day, I think really should be encouraged by humane leaders because it boosts that creativity.
I totally agree. And the thing about stress is that we normalize that moment. We got it, so it's so common, to be on a high level of stress that impacts our work, our personal life, our body, our mind, etc. So it should be mandatory for any leader that to have a break in their team, in their team members, to spot someone and say, you require to have this break. We have thought, we have discussed that a leader or a boss will say, no, 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 you have to work, 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 work. But if you foster this kind of environments, safe environments in which you will rest, not only you will diffuse all this stress, but also you will have your mind totally clear. You and I are from IT, so we know that when a server has reached the consumption of the memory, what you have to do is reboot it, and from there it will delete all that memory. It will put on to 0, and then it will work fine again. We have to do the same with our chip. Otherwise, it will backfire to us and them as well.
Absolutely. And I know other humane leaders that are out there and listening, that taking time off and having your resources, your team being absent is a challenge. I'm not saying it's not a challenge, but what I would always encourage my team members to do is we'd hit, the beginning of the year, it's January 1st, everybody's back from the holidays. I'm like, what vacations you got planned? Let's get them on the calendar. And I would push people in that first month of January and especially because the company I worked at, people stayed for a very long time. Again, US versus other countries. I know a lot of other countries you start and you get 4 weeks right away, but in the US, you started a company, you might only get 1 or 2 weeks or no vacation. But I had team members that had 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks of vacation. And I would always encourage them to try and schedule at least half of their vacation time. So at the beginning of January, look at the whole calendar, look at the 12 months, and at least get half of your time tentatively marked out on the calendar, because now the employee has something to look forward to. That's helpful. Me, as the humane leader, I can schedule things then. Hey, I know Roberto's going to be gone for 2 weeks, the first week of June. Well, if I know that in January, I'm going to plan all the workload to try and wind down things with Roberto at the end of May so that he's leaving with the majority of stuff completed. The stuff that he has on his plate can wait till the end of June when he gets back. Be the humane leader. Push your team to take the time, schedule it early so it isn't a crisis. If Roberto comes to me on May 31st and says, I want to take 2 weeks of vacation, I say, great, when? June 1st, tomorrow.
Oh.
All right. I have a really hard time being a humane leader when that's the situation. So reverse it. Be the humane leader who's pushing the team to get the vacation time, at least some of it, right? I don't know if half of it's the right ratio. Certainly for my team members that had 6 weeks of vacation, I would always push them to schedule at least half of it, because they had so much vacation time that frequently they'd get to December and they'd be like, oh man, I got 3 weeks left and it's December 1st. Yeah, and you didn't finish a bunch of stuff you need to finish for this year. That's a tough conversation to have. I'd much rather have them have used up more of that vacation earlier in the year. So encourage your team to take that time. Give yourself the opportunity to plan around it. That way the team doesn't feel the stress of having 1 or 2 team members out on vacation at the same time. Maybe you can negotiate when different team members are taking it because somebody's a backup for somebody else. But if you schedule it in advance, you, the humane leader, has a better opportunity to balance the workload. And then the team member, the employee has something to look forward to. Hey, it's January and I'm working really hard, but hey, in April, I'm going to Cancun for a week. Great. And that's something to look forward to. Then when they're on vacation, man, some of my most creative ideas and solutions to problems frequently came when I was disconnected from work. And I think, a holiday, a vacation can really boost that energy level, gives you a clean slate to come back. You kind of let the pressure of the office fade away for a little while and your brain gets more creative. So I think one of the most important things you can do for team development, that long-term development, is instill that vacation is a payment. It's part of your compensation. It's not a privilege. Holiday is part of your compensation package. That's why HR has rules about how much you get and how you do it. That's because it's part of your compensation. So would you refuse some pay? Hey, you know what, Roberto, don't pay me this week because I just don't want it. I don't want my pay. No. I want my vacation. I will take it.
Totally agree with that. And to add from what you said, it's also important for that team member to rest mentally. And when I said rest mentally, is to know and have the certainty that when they are away, the company will be okay, will be running. And what I mean, maybe one person uh, 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 won't trouble or won't be related to the success of our company. But what I mean is maybe they will say, no, if I go to vacation, this process might not work, this won't be done. So plan with that team member. Okay, Chris, you're going to take 1 week in 2 weeks' time. Okay, Mary is going to jump in. She's going to do part of your work or your full work. Let's gather, share the knowledge, and when you leave, disconnect from yourself. We won't talk to you. That's what a humane leader does. He won't say, or she won't say, hey, be ready. Take your mobile phone or your laptop next to you where you are because we want to reach you. No, you have to do what it has to be done so that team member, will be away from work. And with that in mind, that mind of that team member will rest, will be calm. That is the point of that. Yes, maybe after they arrive, they will be working too many hours, yada yada yada. But in that week time, or excuse me, in that amount of days, the most that it should be, they will be calm. They won't be thinking of work, and doing that, you will help them as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think you'll be surprised when they come back how energized they are. And again, that encouraging that creativity. Did they come up with some, really unique solution to some problem you're having, right? And sometimes when you're under the pressure of being there on the job and people are just maybe not physically pounding on you, right? But come on, Roberto, we need a solution. This is not working. That pressure usually does not help creativity. You may come up with a solution, but it may not be the best one. And just through my own personal experience, I have found taking the break, whether the problem is at home, like something broke and I need to fix it, or it's something that broke at work and I need to fix it. I generally find my most creative solutions are when I'm not directly thinking about the problem. It's when I'm walking the dogs. It's when I'm on vacation. Those are when the creative juices are allowed to flow because the stress isn't filling the pipeline. Creativity can flow instead.
Yeah, and let's put this example. Let's say that they work in a city, might be a small one or might be a big one. Changing sceneries will help you. So maybe you could go to the beach, you could go to the mountains, you could go to, I don't know, other continent, other country, watch culture, sense, taste different food, sense the culture. I don't know, there are too many things. You could go on an adventure, depending on each one, depending on what makes them itch. The thing is, if you go to something really different, it will take away that thing and you will focus on something different. If you live in a city and go to a big city, and maybe that's your itch, but if you try to go something different, that might work. No, but that depends on each team member that goes. But I think really, really, really that enjoying and having experiences different is going to trigger what we are aiming. That team member recharges and brings something new to the company or new ideas, etc. In the end.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, from my own leadership perspective, while no HR class or management class is going to teach you this, I do believe that we as the humane leader need to push for employees to take vacation.
Yeah.
Now, the culture that I came from was very anti that idea. They were actually, because they're very much a public company, the stock price was the only thing that mattered, and we can hire new people, right? I literally once found a slide from a presentation, accidentally, bad SharePoint security, found a presentation that was bring them in, burn them out, turn them over. Can you believe that as a philosophy from your HR department? I was shocked, and it took a lot of willpower to not widely share that, because I knew I wasn't supposed to be able to find it on SharePoint. It was an accident, but what can you do once you've read it? Um, but that obviously is very short-term thinking, and instead,
Yeah.
as a humane leader, you should be thinking long-term
Yeah.
success of the company, right? You want to be the next Apple. You want to have long-term success. So really, a humane leader who pushes for people to take those breaks, take the vacation, work with your employees to schedule the vacation, get it on the calendar so it's not as stressful on you, is the humane leader. That's the kind of humane leader I want to work for. That's the kind of company I want to be at.
Yeah. And the better example for this is us. We want to be away from this. So we could be this kind period in which we will do something that maybe we could replicate it with our team. That doesn't mean that if I'm going to Europe, these guys have to go to Europe. But we could, in a culture, we could experiment to say what we're going to do, what we're going to plan, how we're going to approach. Are we going to break the culture of that company? Are we going to have ours? What are we going to do? And us, in this month that we haven't done this podcast, and we spoke before recording this, we brought new ideas that we haven't thought before, and we're going to be in a success road thanks to that. So we have to do it.
It works.
Yeah.
We've got proof. We did a little test, wasn't planned test, but we look at those results and say, hey, this feels good. This is the right thing to do. And hopefully those who listen to the podcast realize that while, yes, I admit having team members out on holiday is a challenge, no doubt. And the smaller the team and the smaller the company, the harder it may be, right? If I have a team of 100, having a few people out, there's usually multiple people who know the roles. Small teams, I agree, it's harder, but it will pay the benefits. You need to do it. And again, my solution to all your reservations on doing it is schedule them early, because then you can do it just like anything else in your project plan for whatever else you're working. You schedule in vacation. Why isn't in most people's project plans vacation? Most project plans cover a long period of time. You absolutely should plan vacations for your resources in your project plan.
Yeah, indeed. Um, yeah, indeed. Oh, man, I lost the idea. Oh,
You're welcome. I won't charge you for that. It's a free one, just like this podcast.
damn. Okay. Well, yeah. Well, I'm sorry. I lost the idea. Let me see if I cut it again. But well, yes, uh, totally important to have a break, to understand that we are humans. I know what I was going to tell you. First of all, we are humans. We are not machines. And even though a machine requires maintenance, so we as humans require this kind of maintenance to be sharp in this. What I was going to tell you, yesterday I had a one-on-one with one of my managers, and I usually do a icebreaker question, to ease down and everything. And I asked this manager, if you could have 2 weeks time of vacation paid, and you and your family to go somewhere else, where would you go? Anywhere at the world. and she said to me, well, to the beach, rather than maybe say, to Argentina, South Africa, Europe, I don't know. And I think that she was so stressed that she couldn't think further than their own country. She was so tired. Because when I asked this to other people, had told me New Zealand, Japan, etc. So doing maybe this kind of questions and identifying with our reports will help us identify the stress level they are in rather than only looking at their face gestures, the other kind of stuff. So I think with this we could dig deep in them rather than doing nothing at all.
Absolutely. It's the humane leader caring, right? And you're investing in that employee because you want to be there for a long time at that company, right? And so their well-being and detecting that stress level, and are they at the point where they need a vacation more than they realize? That's what you're probing for, is to find out that, wow, because stress is additive. That's another thing a humane leader needs to understand in this vacation philosophy, holiday philosophy, is that stress is additive. And so the stress of work, then the stress of home life, maybe they got new kids, they've got adult parents that have now had health injuries. All those stresses are additive. And so while maybe at the moment work has gone from a peak of stress and it has calmed down a little bit and maybe it's closer to average, it could be that enough other external stresses are pushing the employee so hard that they can't do their best work for you. So again, that holiday comes in and lets them recharge and hopefully tackle big problems at work and at home that gives you the best output, the best quality work from your team.
It did. Well, okay. This is a topic that could be used at any time. No?
Absolutely.
Well, I think with this, we could end this episode.
Absolutely. Welcome back from your business travel, and welcome back from vacation for me. Glad to everybody tuned in, and we'll be back on our regular schedule. And after this, I think.
Yes, and I'm also happy that you got into vacations. I can see it in the tan.
Absolutely.
Got it.
Have a great